Hey guys, this is Martha reading Hedgehog with my book review for The Fire Wish by Amber Lough, the first book in the Jinni Wars series. This is a young adult fantasy. It could be enjoyed by middle grade though as well, and I gave it 3 out of 5 strawberries, which I'm about to explain. I probably should have given you a synopsis first. So this follows two protagonists, both young girls. The first one is Zael, and she is the daughter of the leader of a tribesman in Zab. And Zael is betrothed to Prince Kamal of Baghdad, against her will, naturally, and she's not happy about it whatsoever. She really wants to get out of it at all costs. Our other protagonist is Nazwa, I think that's how you pronounce it, and she is a genie. And not only is she a genie, but she's been trained to be a spy because the Jinn and the humans have gone to war for no one really knows why exactly. I mean, you find out why, but at the time, no one really knows why, because the Jinn and the humans used to be friends, but now that's been completely destroyed, and they're fighting each other. Nazwa has a special ability where she is able to actually wish herself into the palace grounds, which no one's been able to do that since the war broke out because it's been guarded against Jinn. But she's able to do it. In order to, help her people in the war, Nazwa decides to go spy on the girl who's supposed to marry the prince of Baghdad. And when she goes and does that, Zael ends up capturing her and wishing that the two can trade places and that Zael will go home. So Nazwa ends up having to pretend to be Zael and not be found out as a genie, because if she's found out, she will be killed by the people in the palace. Meanwhile, Zael has somehow ended up in the land of the Jinn, even though she wished herself home. And she's having to pretend to be Nazwa. The weird thing is, the two girls actually look very, very, very similar, so they're able to fool them pretty well. But it's a very dangerous ruse, because Nazwa could lose her life, and Zael could too, because the Jinn don't like humans. Overall, I did like this book. Again, 3 out of 5 strawberries. It was really fun. The characters were really good. I liked Nazwa and Zael. They were great protagonists. I preferred Nazwa over Zael because Nazwa, having been trained to be a spy, once she finds herself in this weird, awkward situation, she's like, okay, I need to stop, I need to think, I need to find a way to get out of here, while I also gather information for the Jinn to help us in the war. So she doesn't panic. She catches on as quickly as she can. I mean, she has an initial panic, but then she sits down and she gets down to business. And I love no-nonsense characters, so I really liked Nazwa. Zael, meanwhile, tends more towards panic, because her wish has not brought her where she wanted to be. She has no spy training, so she doesn't know how to deal with situations like this, and she just has no clue what to do. So she kind of has some freakouts. At the same time, though, Zael does have survivalist mentality, so she does try to, survive and get out. So she's not completely useless or hopeless, and she doesn't constantly always break down in tears. So I did like Zael for the most part, but I did prefer Nazwa. The side characters are all very well realized and interesting characters. I loved Zael's brother, and I loved Zael's best friend / handmaiden, who ends up trying to coach Nazwa on pretending to be a human and not give herself away as a Jinn, because if she does that, she and Nazwa both will be in huge trouble. The romance, however, I had mixed feelings about, which is no surprise, I generally do. On the one hand, I did really, really like their respective romantic interests. Kamal, the Prince of Baghdad, is a very wonderful guy. He's a scholar. He wants this war to be over as soon as possible, and with as little blood as possible shed. I loved Kamal immediately. I love characters like that. He was a very nice, sweet guy. Atish, Zael's love interest, at first I didn't like him. He and Nazwa have been best friends for their entire lives, and when you first meet him, it's through Nazwa's eyes, and I wasn't the greatest fan of Atish at the time. However, when I saw him interact with Zael, I did really, really like him. However, the romance is extremely rushed. Both girls are around their respective love interests for maybe about a total of 5 hours before they are head over heels in love. The men, it kind of makes sense because Atish thinks that Zael is Nazwa, and he's had a crush on Nazwa his entire life. Kamal thinks that Nazwa is Zael, the princess he's supposed to marry, so Kamal has already made a commitment to himself that he's going to try to love this woman that he doesn't know and try to get to know her, and he does end up falling in love with her. It doesn't make so much sense with the girls because they haven't known these guys ever. They haven't known them for very long. However, the romance actually doesn't end up ruining any of the characters. I did really like the guys. I did still really like the girls. They didn't become ridiculous, flirty, irrational creatures when they were around each other. It was just extremely, extremely rushed. It was shallow. But it wasn't the worst romance I've ever read. The plot is very fast-paced. We got, the two girls trying to figure out how to undo this wish that has gotten them switched in places and trying to survive in their respective roles. Meanwhile, we also get backstory behind a lot of the characters, and we also get backstory about why the war was started, and where it's going, and, maybe there's people who are trying to keep this war going for their own purposes. So the plot was very well-paced. It was not too fast, it was not too slow, it had a lot going. The world building was meh. The world was really good. I liked the world, and I liked the author's twist on the Jinn. It was good and original and nice, and I loved the cavern that the Jinn lived in. It was very fascinating. And the culture is very rich and stuff. However, it's not delved into tons, so the world is very rich, but we don't get to actually see much of it. So I felt like there could have been more in that department, but as the series goes on, it is entirely possible that it can. So overall, I did really enjoy The Fire Wish, 3 out of 5 stars. I would recommend it to anyone who just wants a fast, fun fantasy adventure to read with good characters, and doesn't demand too much of your time. And anyone who likes Arabian Nights retellings, or, just fantasy that is based off Arabic mythology, like I do, it's, very fascinating. And if you want something that has strong female protagonists who, actually are cool and don't have this stupid man-hating, personality, but, they get done what needs to get done, and yeah, sometimes they have their crying sessions, but, who wouldn't in situations like that? But, overall, they're strong. They are very strong and realistic characters. So I would highly recommend this book. So I hope you guys found this review helpful, and I do intend on reading the second one, which I own, so yeah, I'm going to pick that up as soon as I can, and let me know what you guys thought, if you've read this book, if you haven't read this book, if you have questions, if you just have general comments, even if it's about the fact that I'm pronouncing things wrong, because I do that and people love commenting on it. And, I do the same thing. It's fun to do. So, yeah, so let me know, and I will see you guys with another video sometime. Bye!